going to see are going to make a lot more sense than the things that I say.
Okay.
As we're doing it. And then I'm going to come at the end and we're going to do this whole thing and recap everything that we do once I find what we're going to do. Bring both legs up for me, please.
And then I got this like bruise over here.
What from?
Dr. Cooper said it's probably just from working out a lot.
And scar tissue healing. Because it was really big, and we took her back to the doctor.
Any pain in your knees today? No. Any, besides this bruising, any other swelling, ankle problems that I need to know about? Okay. I am going to be taking some measurements and some tests and that sort of stuff. My first thing, Mom, I'm going to have you come up with me. Just stand right here next to me. The obvious thing is tone and definition.
Okay.
So if you stand down there and you tighten up this quad, I keep it tight. I ask you to look at shadows. The shadow here, and the girth here. Mm-hmm. Tighten this one up. She has it. It's small. Mm-hmm. This is smaller, and this is smaller. This is a 20-gallon gas tank. This is a 12-gallon gas tank. Okay. So it just hasn't filled out. Mm-hmm. Her running, her weights, and I'm going to say heavier weights than 220 or 225 pound weights. Okay. She needs to be doing more weights, I'm hoping. Everybody has different reasons why they progress. Maybe this is a reason why she didn't do more weights because of the bruising. Well, we just don't have them, so tell me what we need to get at the house. I had 20-pound weights. That's why she was using those. You want to know what else she has? What? How heavy is your backpack at school?
How heavy?
Or even a body vest?
Body vest, but most kids have about a 35 or 40-pound backpack that they carry on all day long with books in it.
They don't have books anymore.
If you have a backpack, I say put a bunch of books in it, put it on your shoulder, and that's your weight vest. Okay,
and we have just regular weights too that can go inside the backpack.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I need gravity.
Okay.
To make you go out and buy a bunch of dumbbells that you may or may not use, but most people have an old backpack, and I'll put it on the shoulders. So if all of a sudden I put 40 pounds in a backpack and she's got the 220s, now she's at 80.
Okay.
And I show you.
And we can strap the backpack tighter to make sure it's not too much.
Let me do one thing with it. Now, just as an example, bring your left foot, place it on the box, stand up, go back down, place your right foot on the box and stand up, and go back down. How much weight did she just lift?
140 pounds.
Or close, probably 100 because you have your low.
She even has a bruise on the back of her leg too.
It's going to go someplace.
Okay.
But you just saw her lift 100 pounds on her left, and
right.
100 pounds on her right.
Right.
So then all of a sudden you're standing 2 feet. Now you got 50-50, and you've got two 20-pound weights, which is 90, and you should have 200.
Okay.
That mentality, whether or not it is, but I'm just saying. She can do a lot more.
Okay, we have something that she can do that on.
There's some boxes that we're talking about. There's some different things that we can do. I like backpacks. I've been very inventive because of coronavirus of backpacks and weights. And I've even had some people push a car around in a parking lot, literally just trying to do some type of a leg press, where you just got a small car, put it in neutral, and just try to get the car rolling, and you just sit there and just go on a parking lot and push cars around. Okay. And it's like a leg press if it's really heavy. And I think that's something, if you have a small enough car, you can push it around on a flat surface. And use those, just be very inventive. Mm-hmm. So let's come over here and warm up a little bit. Some bikes, you sit there and pedal, and if you stop, it coasts. Mm-hmm. This one does not coast. Pedals constantly move. So the arms move, the legs move. That's why there are no tool clips. Okay, so as you pedal, go ahead and start pedaling. Arms move. You can use the arms. You don't have to. I'm going to let you warm up for about 4 minutes or so. And then we'll go to the table and we'll stretch and take some measurements. And she has longer limbs, longer extremities, and she doesn't have the strength to support that height.
Yeah.
And the kids oftentimes are in a situation where they get out of the car, they go play basketball, they jump back in the car, and they go home.
Right.
There are no weights, there are no
Right.
conditionings, there is no stretching, very, very minimal. And they grow out of the strength that they have as a 13, 14-year-old. And as you start playing more elite and competitive basketball, you're against the girls that are no longer doing it as a hobby.
Yeah.
You're doing
They're
it,
grown women.
Yes, they are. And so there's more competition and go from there. Now the other thing when she comes back over here is I want you to understand just basic mechanics is the fact that I use an illustration of Newton's cradle. And Newton's cradle is the desktop toy where you have 5 steel ball bearings. Okay, and if you drop one ball bearing and force stays in a straight line, force stays that way. If you move any of the balls out of the way, everything kind of stops.
Yeah.
And as girls get taller and they lose a little bit of strength, they do what they call as a hip hike, where you're going to see your hip hike. Well, that throws the knee inside, so when they land, force leaves the knee.
Can you do that again?
Yeah. So where you, instead of landing here, where the force goes from your toe to your ankle to your knee to your hip, you have a little bit of a hip hike on tall girls, and they'll do this.
Okay.
So a lot of times it's a weakness in the glute or their core that causes force to leave their knee, which causes ACL. Now she talks about boxing somebody out, and I'll guarantee you she was like this.
Yeah.
And someone put extra force on her shoulder, and this whole thing just collapsed.
Yeah. Okay.
Now she has the strength in her butt to be here rather than here. That's what she needs. And as a 15-year-old, she's still growing into her body and will fill out more. But the days of getting out of the car and just going to practice and getting into the car are gone.
She needs to stretch.
She'll need to do some in-season strengthening because she's probably playing select or club basketball. They practice how many times a week? Usually twice. And weekend tournaments. And you add in high school basketball. Now she's doing Monday through Friday with games. Tuesday, Thursday, club, weekends. She's doing 9 workouts in a 7-day period. And she'll run herself out of strength. Get herself in great shape, but she'll run herself out of strength.
Okay.
You'll be able to do a lot of things in a short period of time very nicely. But if all of a sudden you get into the fourth quarter of a weekend series where you're playing 3 games or 2 games on Friday, or 1 game Friday, 2 Saturday, and you have to win, and maybe you have to go 2 on Sunday, and there's that stamina. 15-year-old kids that are going to talk back to a coach. It's just mutual respect. Parents have to be an advocate. You've got to have a good relationship with your coach, that you're going to do everything you possibly can, but there are going to be times where I'm going to need time off.
Yeah, so like one of my coaches tore her ACL in college. So
she has good respect for it. But then the other part falls on you. Okay? You're in a basketball game. It's Saturday morning, and your team's leading 45-22. Why are you in the game? It's hard for an athlete to get out of a game that they're having fun in, because they want to be part of the win. Okay? Whereas, okay, we're going to win this game with or without me, and I'm going to be that much fresher in the afternoon game when we play again, rather than playing all 4 quarters of the game that's a blowout and taking some of that injury and not keeping it for the next game. So you periodically may have to raise your hand going, until you're kind of back to normal, going, I'm okay. I'm going to save myself for the championship. I'm going to save myself for another game. Rather than just seeing it. Having kids raise their hand and take themselves out of the game is hard, because you like to be in there for every minute of every game. Okay? That's your mentality. That's the way you've been brought up. But when you're coming off of an injury, you want to reserve your strength, because you may have to play all 4 quarters of a championship game, and I'd rather be fresher when the outcome means something a lot more than a game that you've blown somebody out by 20, or the opposite. You're losing by 20, you don't want to look like, okay, I'm bailing on my teammates, but the fact remains is that you want to save yourself for another day, because it's not as meaningful one way or the other. And I'm going to compare your left to your right, okay? And bring your heel to your butt for me. And bring your heel back. Do not let me push the leg from the table. This side. Do not let me push it. Lie on the sit face that way. Nice straight, both legs straight. There, I got you. Straight up to the side. Hold that, fire that glute. Don't let me push it down. Good girl. Behind you just a little bit. Hold that. On your stomach. Bend your knee 90 degrees. Put your foot to the ceiling. No, straight up. That way. Hold that. On the side. Lift. Hold. Lie on the side. Face that wall. Hold. Don't wait for it right there. Okay. Behind you. Hold. Okay. Overall, knee solid as a rock.
Okay.
Literally solid as a rock. I always kind of describe it as a blind test. The fact that I see a scar, but if a blind man came up here and he felt the left knee and he felt the right knee, could he tell the difference? And you can't.
Okay.
Okay. Physically, you can. Cosmetically, everything is firing, everything is working, but her left thigh is a lot bigger than her right thigh.
Yeah.
But muscular-wise, all the muscles are firing. They're just not as defined.
Okay.
Okay. I think with the test, you're going to see some things where you're going to be able to do a lot of things, but I think at the end, you're going to be very tired. And I think some weakness of fatigue will show in your right side. We are going to revisit some exercises that you can do, that you can share with your therapist at Exos or your high school trainer or anybody that's working with you. I need to get you off that left side.
Okay.
We need to do right-sided leg workout individually on this side. Worst case scenario, 3 sets to 1 set. If you're doing squats and you're doing things and you're standing on 2 legs, honey, you're compensating to your left side. And you're going to have a hard time convincing me otherwise.
Her therapist tells her that.
Yes. And so since you like to compromise, let's get rid of this side. So the only thing you can do is this side by itself. And I have a series of exercises that you'd be able to do at home, at the school, at a gym, any place, every place, as long as we have gravity.
Okay.
And that is either with a weight vest, a backpack with books in it, maybe a couple extra heavy dumbbells. But again, the biggest problem I have with females is your grip strength of holding on to 2 35-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
She just doesn't have the bicep strength to do it. So we have to put the weight on the body, whether that's in a squat rack, Smith machine, leg press machine, backpack, weight vest, whatever we need to do in order to get the gravity to work on that right side.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I want to see how much function you have to make sure it's safe for you to continue to shoot and to do things on the court with dribbling and ball handling and those type of things. I think it will be, but I do not want that to be an excuse not to do your leg workout. And that's typically the fun thing to do, is to shoot and to dribble and to do things on the court. The hard things to do is get in the weight room and do your exercises. And unfortunately, at your age group, and I'm going to say this so that Dad can hear this, you run the biggest risk of re-injury because of one thing. We're going to get you back on the basketball court. And I'm going to tell you today, you have to keep lifting weights twice a week while you play basketball. And I'm going to leave it at that. And I take that all the way through high school. What happens at your age group is that you're doing 5 days of high school basketball, 4 days with tournaments of select. Where do I lift weights, Dad? What you do is you take one of the activities away. Okay? Because if you're doing 9 activities a week and I want to lift weights 2 days a week, now I'm part of the problem. I'm making you that much more fatigued without recovery time because you have high school practice, club practice, and games. And normally about 2.5 months after being totally cleared, you say, I'm not going to lift weights anymore. And you play yourself out of strength, play yourself into basketball shape, and at 3.5 months, you re-tear your knee because you haven't been doing your weights. Okay? And you're at that age of 15 years old that will happen, and mom and dad have got to say, Mackenzie, go lift weights. And you're going to either say yes, or I'm going to suggest that you stop either club or high school. Okay? Because something's got to give.
Okay.
Going 9 days a week and not being able to lift weights without being part of the problem, that is a situation that I run into quite a bit. You're so active that there's no time to build strength, and you lose it. And if you lose it and you're a tall girl, you got levers against you, the same thing happens again because you didn't lift weights because it's no fun, and basketball is. So, just understand that you are going to be lifting weights once or twice a week for a while, and you have to get that into a routine. I will tell you the best time to lift weights. You have a weekend tournament that you play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You come home Sunday night and you lift weights. Because that gives you the most time to start recovering, to trying to find one more day during the week to do it, is the lift after the tournament, immediately after the tournament. And it's not going to take much to fatigue out. Okay? But that's hard because after the tournament, everybody goes out to eat and everybody's having a good time and you're driving home from the tournament, and once you get home, you're exhausted and you have school the next day. And you still have studying and things to do. But you have to lift weights when you're playing basketball, period. Otherwise, you're not going to survive. Knee is very solid. I think your hamstrings, glutes, surprisingly so, are very strong, so I think you've been doing a lot of good stuff. Your quad needs some improvement. Okay? So, let's do the test. I like what I see. Still kind of healing. You've had April, May, and June. You had the opportunity to allow a little bit more healing to take place. Okay? Let's go over here. Mom, you can bring your chair. Now, I am comparing left to right, right to left. Okay? I do not have a problem if you like to stare at the mirror, if you like to stare out here. What I want you to do is I want you to put one foot dead center in the middle of the ball. Oh, I my balance, I'm sorry. I want you to come up. Fifteen seconds. Four, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and step off. Now, I'm going to keep the test moving, but you're free if you want to walk around, catch yourself, catch your breath. At any length of time, you take the time. Okay. Otherwise, I keep the test moving. Other foot. halfway. Ten seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and step up. Now, what I'm going to have you do here real quick. Now, this is one of the exercises that I'm going to have you do. This time I'm going to have you not look at the mirror, face this way. I just want you to pick a foot. It doesn't matter which one. Come back up and down this. Basketball is up here. You watch the floor right there the entire time you're balancing. Okay? Basketball is up here. What else happens in basketball? You have teammates that you have to find over there. And you turn your head, and you have to look over there. And you have to look over there. So when you're balancing, be more functional. Because you're going to be looking for people coming down the court or people looking around. Get the head on a swivel just a little bit. Because you're going to find everything moves down here when your eyes aren't focused on one thing. Okay? Shoulders good. There you go. There you go. Now step off, do it with your left side. Because you were doing the same thing on your left side as your right side. This was not a right-sided problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, you are not technically, you can step off. You're not going to be sitting there on one foot looking around.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of times in basketball where you're taking a pass and you are on one foot. And you're taking a pass and you're not always planted 2 feet down. That you're taking a pass and you're going to be pivoting and balancing on one foot while you're either trained toward the basket, trying to get around somebody. You're not always 2 feet on the ground. If you can do this on a Bosa ball or rolled up towel, that'll show you, which is a little bit harder that you do at home if you don't have a Bosa ball, which most people don't. It's just an exercise. So I'm going to ask you to say, look around, and then it's going to be a piece of it. This is what I meant. Okay? Come over here. Stand right here and face mom. So Dad gets a good picture of face mom. Balance on this side. So what I'm going to do, Mackenzie, is I'm going to place my pen 2 inches in front of your toe, that kneecap height. You're going to bend your left knee and touch my pen.
Okay.
Bend
Up
it.
now?
Yep, just practice. Up and down quickly now. Up and down, up and down. All the way up, all the way up, all the way up, and down. Up, down, and rest. Even as a 15-year-old, I would expect you to do at least 1 per second.
All right.
Okay, we're going to do this for a minute. So I'm looking at somewhere between 60 and 70 reps.
Got it.
So there's a bit of a pace to this. Now, as you get tired, you're going to have a tendency just to want to do a little range of motion. I'm going to yell at you and say up. And I want full range of motion.
Got it.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a pace to this. Balance. Go ahead and start. Up. There you go. Go. $65. Very nice. Nope, I'll go on the other side.
Oh, okay.
Now, you did a couple more than that. There's a couple of them I couldn't count. But all in all, you did very well. if you're videotaping. The other thing that I was watching on that side is, does her knee kind of go in and out just a little bit, or is she touching the ink pen at the same place every time? There's a little bit of a wobble, but nothing that I would feel out of the ordinary for a 15-year-old.
Okay.
Okay? Balance. Touch my pen.
I'll keep going.
Just practice a couple times. Get to the pen. There you go. Okay, stop. So, 60 seconds. When you're ready, go ahead and start. All the way up. Go. Up. Keep going. $58. Now, I'm not sure, Dad, if you were able to see, she had a little bit more of a quad shake in this side where her body was trying to incorporate or recruit more muscle fibers, especially as you got tired. There was a little bit more, and that's the stamina that I talked over there. She's able to do it. It's not going to be as efficient because the thigh isn't as big and doesn't have as much to draw from. But that's fixable. That's just strength. Okay? Face me this way. Balance on your left side. Come down, touch my pen and hold it there. That position. You're going to hold that position for 60 seconds.
Got it.
On the ball.
Oh.
Face mom. Give dad a. You can use my shoulder if you need to face her. There you go. Very good.
Okay.
Right there. Hold it 60 seconds. And don't let this lip touch. It's just sheer muscle stamina. Keep your foot nice. Touch my pen, please. There you go. Not to give away what's going to happen on the other side, but watch her quad. She's not shaking nearly as much as she's going to do on the other side. Stand down. 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. You may step up, walk around. Now, if you need water, I brought some red Solo cups there. And we have a water cooler right here. It's just that some people has a vibration plate. Okay. Okay, correct? And a vibration plate, what you're doing is you're overloading the neurological response in the quad, which really fatigues the quad out quite nicely. One of the things that it does is it really does create quad strength with balance, so I'm not against power plate type situations. Typically on a power plate, you're gonna have 2 feet on it, usually not 1. And since we're talking about that right now, we're gonna come to the other side. Face mom for a second. And if you squat down, legs a little bit closer together. Now squat down. You ought to make sure that right there. Okay? You're going to have a tendency to either go to your left side because of strength, or you're going to kittywampus a little bit. So if you're on this power plate, I want you to think about the pressure underneath the balls of your feet. Okay? If I'm here, is it 50-50? Or is it 60-40, 60-40, 70-30, that type of thing? As you get fatigued, you're going to migrate away from here. You're going to go down, and as you stay on that power plate, eventually you're going to find that you're going to be here, and you're going to be off this leg. And I want the exact opposite. Okay?
Thank you.
Step off for a second. Get yourself a little bit more in the middle of the ball.
Yeah.
That looks better. Like you're going to fight the ball. And right now she doesn't seem to be shaking that much. A little bit of pressure on your heel to keep your knee bent, and then let the ball go forward. There you go. She might start shaking later on the rep, or she's just going to be fine, one of the two.
I see it.
You've been practicing your balance on your right side more than your left.
Yeah.
Because this side's very clean, even compared to the other side. She's not wobbling nearly as much. You've only got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. And we're done with this. Nice job. Now we're going to start leaving the ground.
Okay.
Okay? And we're going to do each leg with a different thing. Coming into the 4 square hopscotch. Face me this way. I want your good side, your left side right there in that square.
This one.
Yep, you're going to play hopscotch.
Okay.
So I want you to go 1, 2, 3. Just practice a little bit. And stop and go the other direction.
Same foot.
Yep. And rest. Practice your right side.
That's around this square too.
Yes. And stop and practice and go the other way. And rest. Okay. Now, in a perfect world, and I say perfect world, it's about the rhythm that I want you at. We're going to go 30 seconds counterclockwise. And we're going to come back on the left side and do the same. I want to start on your left side.
Okay.
We're going to go 30 seconds this way. Once you get your breath. 30 seconds same way. Once you get your breath. Then we're going to go counterclockwise.
Got it.
Okay, so this is where you need time between. Just take it, get some water, do what you need to do. If I see anything that's unsafe, I'll stop you. If you feel anything that's unsafe, you just stop. Okay, balance left side, go forward on you whenever you're ready. Stop. Catch your breath. If you're ready, you may start, but I'm not rushing.
Same way.
Yes, ma'am. few more errors where you're hitting the line than you did on the other side, but still not bad. Definitely more errors in the last 4 or 5 seconds as you got fatigued, and I keep coming back to stamina. Okay, get your breath. So I'm going to take your left side, I'm going to put it in that square. So by jumping forward, I'm going to put you clockwise.
Got it.
If you've got your breath, you can start anytime you want to. I'm not in a hurry. Stop. Go. Stop. As that gets more tired, there's more mistakes. And that's the fourth quarter that I'm talking about. Okay? Where you've got plenty of strength to begin with, but as we use it up, all of a sudden you're not as efficient on your right side as you should be, that you demonstrated when you're fresh. And that's where Dr. Cooper and myself, we are preparing you for a game, not the national anthem, okay? And that's really where we're at, where I think this is a stamina and strength issue. This is not a structural issue. You're solid. We just need the strength to go with the structure, okay? Mom, I'm going to have you move down there. You're going to come over to this one. Out of all the ones that Dad is going to be able to tell, the most of it's going to be the next two.
Okay.
Okay? I want you to take your left side, put it just at the start of the tape. No, behind it. Back. Bring your left foot, put it this way, toe to toe. So you start behind the table. There you go. Balance on this side. I want you to jump once. I want you to land once. Warm it up a little bit. Okay, go back to it again. Okay, now I want you to start challenging yourself. I'm expecting you to be out here. Go again. Just give yourself a real good challenge. Single leg, get up to the line, get up to the line, get up to the line. There you go. Get out. There you go. Do it again. Okay, you're out. Do it again. Here's your target. That's the competitive nature of it. Do it again. Good job. One last one. Hop. Get up to the line and you jump. There you go. Perfect. So her last two, she was doing 170s and 180, and I give her a target. She does a 186, 189, and a 190.
Okay.
And they're all good landings.
Okay.
Now, her sport doesn't require as much as it's good to do. She had a little bit of a stutter step. Now, if she had a soccer shoe on, lacrosse shoe on, track shoe on, and that foot's in a turf and she wants to jump forward, we have a problem. But basketball, there's a little bit more room where her foot's sticky because of a good pair of shoes, but not necessarily anchored into the ground.
Okay.
Now, on your left side, stay on your left side, I want you to jump here, and I want you to emphasize, really emphasize the land. Okay, just jump and land. Bend, good. Now go back. On your right side, only jump to this seam, but I want you to practice to land. Because your tendency will be just to land with a very, very stiff knee. Okay? Jump and land with a bent knee. That's better. Go back and do it again. Okay. Now, as you feel comfortable, come on up. Okay, do it again. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of a target and see if I can't draw you out of it. Again. That was better, but you didn't land it real great. Do it again. Up the line, so you get all your distance. And stop. Even with coaxing to get her out farther, she's done a 156, a 158, and a 162.
Okay.
Okay? So just in that test alone, where her non-surgical side is right around 190, her unsurgical side, or surgical side, is a 158, which is about a 20% deficit. And that's power. That's just plain girth and power. Okay? Balance on your left side for me. You are going to hop down here as fast as you can. You do not have to stop. I want you to take as few hops as possible. You are running on one leg. Okay, don't stop. Run right through it. So think about more forward momentum than leaping. Okay? Don't face plant yourself, because I have had kids do that. But I want you to run. You're still real heavy on your landing. I want you as minimal time on the surface as possible. Run, 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 run. Okay, very good. That's exactly what I want you to do. Okay? I'm going to have you do 2 or 3 of those. I'm going to take your 2 best times. If you want to come down here so that you don't have to necessarily wave, you can come down. I don't think she's going to run over you.
Okay.
More than once. Yep. Okay. Good job. Do it again. As fast as you can go. A little better. Take your time. One more time, stay on your left side for me, please. .56, 1.46, 1.55. So she's probably got about an average of a 1.52, something like that.
That's all right.
Now, honey, I want you to do the first one 50%. And just get the idea that transferring your weight on my foot is going to be a little bit awkward, but there's some education to take. Okay? I'm not going to time you. Just take your time. Come on down. How's that feel?
A little weird.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
Now, at any point in time, it doesn't feel right, 2 feet on the ground. Okay? And here, I think it's just going to be inefficient. I don't think it's going to be real fast. And I don't think there's that much risk. But I do, if you feel it more than me. Okay? Pick up the pace and do the best you can. Okay? Take your time. Take your time. How's it feel?
Good.
One 1.86, 1.76, 1.88. So the percentages left to right that we saw on the broad jump are very similar to what we see here. Okay? Now, normally what I would do would be a triple jump. It's not going to change what she needs. Risk reward is not to my benefit or worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What she would have normally done, start at the tape, you go hop, hop, and she has to stick that landing. She could do it, but at the end of the test, you still need strength in your right side.
Right, the deficiency
So
is the
for
same.
risk reward, I don't like to be part of the problem, so we're going to stop the test here.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and get some water, and I'll meet you on the scale. So in this respect, and I really thought I would catch her when we came to the broad jump, which is all power because of the size of her quads.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, that's where her deficits are.
Okay.
Okay? Just let me do a little bit of math here. Did you have any pain when we were doing any of these things? Those same numbers of hopping in 30 seconds of time. Now, comparison, 57, 60, she's below normal, but she was pretty good. Here, we got fatigue. That was the first sign of her running out of gas as a second set of 30-second hops, that you only did 51. I would expect you to be 65, over 65. And so you see this number coming down. Mm-hmm. And even the non-surgical side came down a little bit. In her defense, it's the first time she's done single leg hopping, so there's an education there too. But there definitely was a fatigue factor in the right side as we move forward. We did a single leg broad jump, 189, 186, 190 for an average of 180, 156, 158, 164, average of 59 for a percentage of 85. Mm-hmm. Speed hop over 23 feet. Her times were here for an average of 1.5 seconds. And then she did it on her surgical side and got an average of 183, and she had 83. So now you start kind of looking at these three numbers as she was fatigued, and I'd say she's at about 85%.
Okay.
Okay? She had very good landings here. She wasn't hopping a lot. This is strength.